I'm Dr. Laurence Hillman. I am the co-teacher in this new course on Black Moon Lilith, and I'm really excited to present this very new material to you. It's a mixture of depth psychology, astrology, inner rebellion, just a lot of different topics that interest me, and I look forward to having you in class. So here are some thoughts about this class. For someone new to this perspective, what is most often misunderstood about Black Moon Lilith is that we think about Black Moon Lilith as just about rebellion or rage or sexuality or female empowerment. She becomes simplified, she becomes typified into some sort of thing. And some of those themes can certainly appear around Black Moon Lilith. They're only partial expressions of a much more deeper and much more complex archetypal energy. So from an archetypal perspective, Lilith, we want to separate between Lilith and Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith, the way we're using it in this course, is an archetypal point. It's a calculated point in a chart. It's the furthest place that the moon is from the Earth. The moon's apogee, as it's called, far away from the Earth on its orb around the Earth. And that is a particular place in connection to your chart and tells you something about yourself. That's different from Lilith as the archetype, which was Adam's first wife, is one of the places she appears in history, but she appears way before that in other places in Mesopotamia and so on. We will discuss that in the class. But from an archetypal perspective, Lilith is not merely sort of a personality trait or an identity category. I would think of her much more as a liminal psychic force connected to what has been exiled, refused, silenced, or left outside of the acceptable structures of consciousness and of our cultures that we grew up in. So people often try to turn Lilith into some kind of a heroic archetype or something about absolute freedom or uncompromising defiance, but that can flatten her into sort of a slogan or a bumper sticker, and that's not at all what my interest is here. It takes away the initiatory dimension that she can bring us. Another misunderstanding is the tendency to romanticize Lilith, that encountering Lilith is not always empowering. It is not always, such a wonderful thing to experience the way contemporary culture imagines empowerment. She can arrive as rupture, disillusionment, grief, alienation, obsession, painful recognition that parts of ourselves have been abandoned in order to fit in or to belong. Lilith often appears where adaptation has come for us at too high of a cost. And this is something that I'm quite curious about and want to explore in the class with the students. In astrology especially, as I have said, Black Moon Lilith is looked at sometimes as a type, sort of like my Lilith means I'm this kind of a person. No, not at all. Again, it is a portal, the way we think of it. Black Moon Lilith is an entrance, is where we encounter this energy. It's not, in that sense, a part of us. It's not an inner archetype the way the planets are. So Lilith is much more relational and dynamic. She tends to emerge through encounters, through tension, through problems, through desires, through projections, through these kinds of things, in situations that destabilize what's familiar and what's comfortable and what we already are quite settled in. She demands of us more consciousness around relationship, particularly in relationship to eros, instinct, embodiment, truth, these kind of big questions. What we emphasize in this course is that Lilith is not about becoming anti-relational or anti-cultural or permanently oppositional. Rather, we say it's also not just about chaos or disruption. It's a threshold experience in the psyche. And so we can use this information from the astrological Black Moon Lilith, this portal idea, to actually connect with this part of us that is in deep longing to be heard and needs to be acknowledged if we are to do, Jung's idea of individuation. We cannot avoid that part that is rebellious and will not conform. It's sort of the truest part of us that will not be reined in. So in many ways, Lilith teaches us a different kind of intelligence, one that's rooted in vigilance, in imagination, in embodiment, and even in the capacity to stay present with complexity without trying to resolve things, simply, but staying with that complexity. That's one of the gifts that she brings us. So those are some thoughts.